Speaking of junk,
Yeah.
and this has nothing to do with anything we've been talking about, but it's so important, it bears mentioning. Apparently, KFC is testing a new sandwich in 3 southern states. Have you guys heard about this?
I
I
have
think I
not.
know where you're going with this.
It's the Cheetos
Yes.
Chicken Sandwich, which is made by coating a juicy, hand-breaded, extra crispy chicken fillet with special Cheetos sauce and placing it on a toasted bun with mayo and a layer of crunchy Cheetos.
I'm going to let you guys finish the podcast.
Because you're so disgusted, or you're halfway to your car to
Halfway.
drive
Because
to
I'm
Georgia.
because I
The
just
first
Googled where
KFC.
the locations are. Because I just Googled that. Yeah. Because you were halfway through explaining what it was. I had already opened up a new tab on the browser, and I'm like, boom, boom, boom.
I feel conflicted because I feel like I should be appalled by the
Right.
existence of this sandwich, but I'm
Yeah.
actually just hungry.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. We're supposed to talk about soccer again.
Well, hello, everyone. This is your friend Joseph Craven here on You'll Never Talk Alone. It feels good. I feel like I've been absent for just a little bit from the podcast. Is that right? Have I missed an episode or two?
Yeah, I think you've missed one.
Okay, it feels like I've missed a month and a half. Maybe that's just me, but I honestly feel like I have missed, like, pretty much since the Christmas break. I feel like I haven't been a part of the podcast. Whoops. Anyway, here we are. I'm Joseph. That's Alex. That's Zach. Zach, how are you?
I'm good. Is this 2 in a row for me, Alex?
It is, yeah. Back to back.
That's some sort of record in recent times.
Reaching that appearance clause in your contract.
Right. Yeah, we owe you a significant amount of money because of this episode. This was the one. This was the one that got you over the hump.
Perfect.
Love it. Love it. Well, a draw against Leicester in what has been, first of all, can we just address how bizarre a week this has been in the league as a whole? Like, this has been a bit of a strange one. I mean, you've got you've got City losing what? How did they what was the score, like the time of the scores in that one? I need to pull that one up.
It was like 10 seconds, 60th minute, like 78th minute, something like that.
It was so strange. It was so strange. You've got the fact that Bournemouth took down Chelsea, 4-0 today?
Yeah.
4-0. Like, it's one thing, okay, if it's a weird shootout, loss in that matchup. Bournemouth beat them 4-0.
Yeah.
Bournemouth blanked them. What happened? Oh, so weird. It's been a weird week. So I guess first and foremost, in a weird week so far, and of course it's Wednesday when we're recording. It's not even the end of the week.
Yeah.
But weird week so far. To walk out of this without losing, do you feel any good about that? I just want to get a quick reaction from both of you about that. Alex, do you feel any good about getting out of here without losing, even if it is kind of a frustrating draw?
Yeah, still feel good, even though, like you said, it sucked. As long as we keep doing as well or better than City's result, we'll be in good shape.
Zach, how about you? Disappointing draw. I know you didn't necessarily get to keep a close eye on the match as it was going on, but just knowing the result and knowing that what could have been done in terms of winning and taking more advantage of City losing, how do you feel? You feel frustrated at that, or are you okay?
I mean, I'm a little frustrated because we would be riding really high right now if we had taken care of business today and gotten the 3 points. City slipping up in a big way would feel like a much bigger deal than it does currently. I mean, it's still significant, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
So instead of being super pumped, I'm just kind of like, yeah, all right, we're still in a good position.
Yeah. I think using the term frustrated is the best way I can think of to sum it up, because we're not angry about anything because we didn't completely waste the opportunity, but it's one of those things where it's like, oh, we could have done more. Could have done more. How about the match, though, in general, Alex? Which I think is pretty much a very, very. I think that's an apt description. This is a could have done more match against Leicester that ended in a draw. Let's talk a little bit about that. What seemed to be going wrong here? We're actually going to start off on the negative foot, which is not often how I start things off. But what in the world was going wrong with the team? Because they just seem to be. I think you said in the group text they seemed like they were forgetting the basics and were trying to do too much flashy stuff. Is that kind of how you feel about it?
So I wouldn't necessarily say flashy. As we've mentioned ad nauseum on this podcast, Liverpool is the weirdest club in that there are many games in which our players just forget how to trap balls and pass balls and all sorts of stuff. But they were more over elaborate. So there were times when we'd get a little bit of an opening around the box, and instead of looking to test Schmeichel, which we did very early on in the match, we try to play it out wide to one of the overlapping fullbacks and send in a cross against their two giant center backs, or just overhit a cross, because apparently I think there's only 3 people on this team that can consistently cross a ball very well. And we're based on today, it looked like that. Yeah. So it was just too much, and we were happy that we had 11 days of rest, but you kind of saw the negative effects of that today.
Yeah, for sure. I think I misinterpreted your overcomplicating with what I interpreted as trying to be too flashy, which is not the case. But I don't know. Do you see this as being a bit of a trend with the team post-Christmas? Because there were some moments, obviously you have, the one loss in the league to City, you have, some moments in there in which the team has maybe shown a few signs of I don't know, of a little bit of sloppiness there. I mean, only 1 goal in a victory over Brighton. Of course, the shootout against Palace. I mean, do you see this as a bit of a trend, or do you think this was just more of a different thing? And things have just been weird in general since Christmas.
And we're seeing the effects of all the injuries. We're playing with kind of some makeshift lineups. We had Jordan Henderson at right back today, which is partly, I think, why we threw on all the attacking options. And now we're stuck with scraping essentially the bottom of the barrel in terms of our substitutes to bring on, because all the people that would have been depth options are already playing because everyone else is hurt. So I think we're getting through it much better than we have in the past in terms of injuries, but we're starting to see it catch up a little bit.
For sure. I don't know. You see, Zach, a lineup like the one that we had to field today, where the right side of the back line was Matip and Henderson. Oh, goodness. But you look at that, and you look at the injuries and obviously there had to be reasons behind moving Klein, as why they thought that would be the good time for that. Obviously we didn't, or if there's just a massive falling out or something, but you've got a makeshift back line, all of that. You look at that and you see at least getting a draw out of it, and what something, could maybe have been worse. What's your take on that? Looking at the lineup and understanding what was going against us in terms of who was even available. Does that make the draw feel a little bit better to you? Or do you still feel like we put ourselves in that situation, so we kind of deserve you know what I mean?
I don't know. It feels weird to try to assess the match that I saw 0% of.
You're just like Stephen A. Smith.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
you're still more qualified than anyone on ESPN these days. So
Thank you.
That. Well, I just mean like as a general thing. Like you just look at that lineup and you understand we're here because of some injuries, but also some weird personnel decisions on our part. Like, I mean, how do you assess that? Do you feel like, okay, we're able to survive a rough situation, or are we frustrated because we put ourselves there to begin with?
I don't think you can look at this match in a vacuum and say like we did the best with what we had and we should feel good about a point, because that's not how a Premier League season works. This problem persists and we have to figure it out now. unless we want to keep dropping points and allowing City to close the gap. I mean, I'm hoping more options become available as some guys start healing up. Milner coming back from suspension, nobody wants to see him anywhere along the back line, but
by that you mean the other team doesn't want to see him anywhere.
Well, right. But I would rather see him back there than Jordan Henderson, probably. Right. I don't know.
How do you think the conversation went, by the way, when Klopp comes up and goes, "Hey, Jordan, look, I'm going to need you to do this for me, okay? Can you step back there, right back for me? Is that okay?"
Pretty much just like that,
yeah,
with a German accent.
And then Henderson said, "You what, mate?" And that was it.
Oh my gosh. I do like what you said, though. You can't look at it in a vacuum. Obviously, that's just true of any sports, any season. You can't look at it. We have to look at the big picture. Before we move on to the big picture, because that is going to be a major talking point here on this episode. Before we move on, let's look a little bit, Alex, at maybe the positives that came out of this match. I personally feel like, we saw a lot of good out of Sadio Mane, a player who had some struggles. That's right, had real great. My mom would slap me in the face for saying that. Who had some struggles lately, and he put in a good performance. We got to see. I don't know. We got to see Van Dijk when we thought he was going to be too sick to do anything. I don't know. What positives do you see that stand out from this match, if any?
Well, yeah, and going back to two negatives before I go back to the positives.
Of course,
Van Dijk made like that. That was an error that he only makes because he's sick, where he just switches off, and the rest of the back line switched off for their goal as well.
Yeah, you could tell he's definitely not 100%.
Yeah, just losing Dudley Dursley at the back post, and he was kind of lucky to even be on the field to score that goal, but that's another problem, which brings to the second negative. The officiating was terrible. Mm-hmm. I think we can all agree as a species that was a penalty because it was clear and cut and something needs to be done and all that. We don't have to get into that whole debate here, but let it be known.
The pass interference flag should have been thrown on Nicole Roby-Coleman. I completely get it. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, apparently the refs from that Saints-Rams game was actually Martin Atkinson.
Yeah, apparently so.
In addition to Sadio Mane playing like the Sadio Mane we know and love, getting a wonderful goal, Gini Wijnaldum was an absolute monster in the midfield, and that was really great to see. He really stepped up in the absence of kind of everyone else that he'd been playing with. And despite him not having a go sometimes when you thought he probably should have, he was tracking back, he was winning tackles, he was distributing the ball. He's really turning into a bit of a midfield general, which has been really nice. And I thought Fabinho also looked good when he came on. It's a bit of a shame that he couldn't start because he is also sick. But those were probably the standouts. I guess you could say Matip did all right. He just looks so uncoordinated when he's doing kind of anything. Especially in those situations where he knows that he shouldn't foul because it's probably a penalty. So he just ends up like doing Madden touchdown celebrations on the field. And so it's goofy, but his numbers today were actually pretty good in terms of tackles and passing. And I like the runs that he makes out of the back. That's what we've been missing from Joe Gomez while he's gone. So at least we got that little bit. But yeah, unfortunately, there weren't too many standouts.
Because one of the reasons that I think we went after Matip in terms of the signing to begin with, and we had kind of discussed, was that he actually had been moved up and playing in kind of a central defensive mid role a little bit when he was at
Schalke.
Schalke, thank you. I was about to say Hoffenheim, and I was like, that's not it at all.
The wrong blue boys.
The wrong blue boy. I could see him in blue. That was it. So So yeah, that's the one thing that he does bring is the ability to kind of move a little bit forward that we definitely don't get out of Lovren at all. He is kind of a statue a lot of times. But at the same time, you could also see, yes, the uncoordination. You could see that it's been a while since Matip played.
Yeah.
It was.
He's still rusty because he's missed most of the season, and it definitely showed.
Yeah.
I think he just needs to grow his mustache back, and that'll solve a lot of his problems.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. But yeah, it was. He was rusty, but yeah, it was a surprisingly good performance from a player that we often do not have high expectations for. And have joked before that the major benefit of Matip over Lovren is that he's not Lovren, and the major benefit of Lovren over Matip is that he's not Matip. So I am trying to pull up the Keita penalty or no call penalty real quick because I actually, due to some weird work circumstances, had to stop watching for a little bit in the middle of the match, and it happened right when I was not watching. So I need to actually refresh my memory on it. So while that's loading up, let's look at the big picture. Let's look a little bit at what all is, what we're dealing with as a club right now. Because what we've had is, and we've talked about it so far, we have injuries. We have weird personnel situations, such as having to play Jordan Henderson at right back. I've got a suspiciously squeaky office desk chair that I'm in right now that's really bothering me. That doesn't seem to get any better no matter what I do. We've got all these weird things, but on top of all of that, we've got a little bit of a departure maybe from some of the strong performances that we were able to put in right before the turn of the new year. Liverpool was a blazing hot team for most of last fall into the winter. We were able to navigate the rigors of taking the top spot in the Premier League and advancing in the Champions League. We were able to navigate all that. We thought that maybe we get a bit of a relief from all of the stress of that. Then these injuries pop up. And for some reason, we have not quite been in dominant form. We had the one loss and then the kind of unimpressive or just really weird victories like the one against Palace. What do you even do with that? But when you look at the big picture, Zach, and you look at the way the team has been in recent weeks, perhaps a byproduct of nerves in trying to hold on to that top spot, unfamiliar territory, whatever it may be, maybe the team a little bit off, even with the players that are healthy. You look at that, can the team continue to put together kind of lackluster performances or performances like this one today where they could have gotten 3 points and only gotten one? And do you still feel hopeful of winning the title if Liverpool does not really right the ship from where it's going right now? Does that make sense? I feel like that was kind of a convoluted train of thought, but if you want to just interpret it, Zach, however you want to, and completely change the subject, that's okay. I wouldn't blame you. So
I think that Liverpool needs to evolve a little bit as a team. I think that the current circumstances call for a change in mentality. What we were doing in the fall of last year was obviously working, but our resources have diminished to a point that I think we need to start relying on a little bit different of a game plan. And I think to get the points we need to get to stay at the top, we're going to have to maybe look a little bit more like Liverpool of last season, where we are relying fully on the quality of our attacking players. They are harassing enemy backlines and just overwhelming teams, even if we don't look so impressive at the back ourselves. Hopefully, as injuries start to sort themselves out, we can sort of shift the mentality back. but I really don't think that we are consistently scoring enough goals right now. That to me is the biggest issue of them all. We're just not quite as ruthless as we should be, and our attacking players tend to drift in and out of form. So yeah, I mean, I think I don't know what it takes to see that happen, but that's what I hope we see. We're certainly going to have to be more ruthless in front of goal if we want a result against Bayern. But
Right.
We'll see how that goes.
Well, even if not scoring like enough goals right now, do you see enough out of the like attack as a whole, or is that off at in general? Because we've got, I mean, in particular, looking at just the stats today, and I know you didn't really get the chance to watch it, but the stats today, 72% possession, only 10 shots, only 3 on goal. Are you? What do you feel about? Is the attack even getting in the right positions and having the right opportunities for all of that, or is it and just not finishing, or are we just not playing the right sort of attacking, football? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I sadly I feel that sometimes my very average football IQ fails me when I'm trying to watch tactics and try to diagnose on the pitch problems. That's really other than true companionship. That's why I have Alex in my life. Is to be my football brain.
Nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Well, I hope it made you feel good, because now I need you to tell me how to feel.
I think that's the name of the episode now. Let's talk about telling Zach how to feel. That's it. That's what we've got. Alex, take it away. I want to hear how Zach should feel.
It's hard to look at this game and really draw too many conclusions, I guess, because you could see the patterns of play that we were going for and that we were successful in pulling off against Palace in spells and mostly against Brighton, although we didn't score very much. But we tried to do a lot, and our touch let us down. And granted, a lot of that is down to teams are starting to sit back against us even more than before, because it's not only is it, we're playing Liverpool, it's, we're playing Liverpool, let's spoil their title party. And I mean, if you look at how Leicester played, which you'll have to do since you didn't watch, sick burn.
Gotcha.
They didn't really attempt to do much more than take advantage of the fact that our fullbacks were essentially playing as wingers and break into those spaces that were left behind. And that has been the kind of the big letdown in missing Trent at the right, because Milner and Henderson have done fine jobs as people who are not right backs, but they do not have the legs that you see someone like Andy Robertson have or Trent to get back when they're so far up. So that has been kind of the way that we've been exploited a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we're doing the right things. You can see what we want to do, but we were let down today by the field conditions and our touch. So I wouldn't necessarily feel too upset, but that we're going to have to start probably getting a little more creative, because teams will be doing more to interrupt us. And if we're not going to get any calls, then they're just going to get away with kicking the hell out of us, and we'll have to think of something else. We'll need players who are not playing as well to step up, and we'll need our attack to play well together. Like all three of them play well on the same day.
That seems ridiculous. I don't understand how you would even suggest that all three of them play well together the same day.
It's a lot to ask.
Come on, buddy. Come on. Seriously, though. I apologize for getting into really gruff voice all of a second there. It's just kind of happened. No way to avoid it. So the Leicester match aside, right now, 24 matches in, still sitting with 19 wins, 4 draws to the only 1 loss. 5 points ahead of the team that has 4 losses on their record right now, including one that just happened, this week. What is that? 7 points ahead of Tottenham in 3rd place. So like the 3-team race that it seems to be for the title, the 3 teams that are realistically in it, we're still sitting 5 points ahead. And we're sitting 5 points ahead with players returning from injury soon. Looking in particular at the impact of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Joe Gomez, these players that are due for returns fairly soon. Just looking ahead and understanding that we are going up against, according to Andrew, the worst team to have ever existed, West Ham United.
Yeah.
Understanding all of that, we look ahead at our upcoming schedule, which, if I remember correctly, was fairly favorable in the league. I'm going to pull it up real quick so I can verify this before I get too ahead of myself. But
Yeah, it's West Ham, Bournemouth,
Bournemouth dangerous
United,
now.
and then Watford, Merseyside, Derby, Burnley. So we kind of got through the theoretically easier part of our Premier League schedule, and we got 1.5 more games, I guess you could say, because you never really know what to expect from Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And it'll be at home. But then you got poo-poo heads, Watford, and other poo-poo heads.
And you gotta keep a close eye on United, because right now they have stormed their way back up to staying in 6th place and not going anywhere.
And they have Schmeigel leading them again, so they're and Juan Mata as Frodo. So I mean, it's really coming together for them.
Yeah. I love all the hype. Like, oh my gosh, you've seen this massive turnaround that Man United has had, and it's like, oh yeah, they moved up the table. No, I mean they're still in the same place on the table, but but they're looking better. Anyway. So knowing all that, all right, we look ahead to the near future and look at the opportunities that we do have to take advantage of. Like you just said, West Ham, Bournemouth, try to get, one up on rivals, Watford, other rivals, then Burnley. Looking at all of that, confidence level, where are you sitting at right now, Zach, in terms of the immediate future? Maybe not necessarily way down the line and whether we actually win the title, but just looking at what's coming ahead. How are you feeling, Zach, on your rating system of choice? Like, you could do 5 stars, you can do 1 to 10, you could do the movie rating system if you want to find a way to work that in. Go for it.
I'm gonna say that I'm 3 out of 5 KFC chicken Cheetos sandwiches confident. So, no, really, I was gonna say 7 out of 10. Yeah, pretty confident, but room for some doubt, some creeping existential doubt. What does it all mean? Does it mean anything really?
Right. Would you feel better if we had our regular lineup, if we had, everyone healthy? Would that make you feel better, or do you think it's gonna cap out at a 7 until the season's done? Because that's kind of where I'm sitting.
I think I'd feel a lot better if we were at full strength.
Okay.
And I think, as long as we're playing the what if game, I think we'd be a lot more than 5 points clear if we had been at full strength.
That's true. That's very true. Alex, are you feeling the same way, looking at the immediate future?
I'm saying I'm about 85% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. It was bound to happen that we were going to drop points to a team outside the top 6, just because we'd been pretty perfect up until then against them, and I'm kind of glad we got it out of the way early on. It would be a little disheartening to be 5 points ahead still in the end of March maybe and drop points in a game like this.
Sure.
So I'm glad we got it out of the way. I still think we can do it. Today was probably one of the few times this season where things haven't been going our way, and you could sense in Anfield and within ourselves that it was one of those times where I don't know if we can do this. I don't know if we're going to win this. Although the rest of the season, every time we've been up against it a little bit, you always thought, okay, we can do this. We're good enough to do this. So once we get those players back, we'll definitely be feeling a lot better. But until then, as you saw today, we're relying on some lower in the totem pole depth players, and they didn't really provide much of anything. So we'll see how we make it, but we're also very good still. If it's not snowing and 9 degrees outside, I think we'll do a lot better.
Hey, at least we're not playing in Chicago, right?
Right.
That seems like absolute hell on earth to be in Chicago at this moment. I apologize to anyone who is listening who is in Chicago and is sitting there going like, thanks for reminding me. Sure.
They don't have power or internet at this point.
That's right. Who am I kidding? They don't know. They're stranded out there. Chicago, the site of the new Division video game.
Yeah.
There's a joke for all you gamers out there. Whew. Yeah.
Yeah, I smiled and pretended I got that.
Well, looking ahead, we do have Andrew's salivating over this matchup wherever he is right now. He's looking at this opportunity to destroy West Ham United, who I'm with him. He got me hyped up beginning of the season. West Ham absolutely going to get relegated. I still think they got a lot of work to do in order to drop down from 12th into relegation spot. But you know what? I'm fully into it. Why not? But anyway, on the last 5 games, West Ham United has 3 losses and then 2 victories lately, including a league victory against Arsenal earlier in the month before they started off their stretch of 3 straight losses, including 2 straight to teams with AFC at the beginning of their game. I just noticed that. That's pretty interesting.
Kryptonite.
So, apparently so. Quick, change it to AFC Liverpool. We'll be good.
Yeah.
We'll be good. We'll smash them. Not a terrifying team. I mean, obviously a team that has conceded a large amount of goals, 37 on the season right now. A team that if there ever was an opportunity, as Zach was hinting at earlier, to get back into goal-scoring form and to like score some goals again, like we did last season and won some games just by scoring a lot more goals than really playing good defense. This would be an opportunity to do that, so it seems. Alex, give us a little bit of a rundown of West Ham right now and whether there's anything there to be concerned about.
You never really know what you're going to get with West Ham. They kind of, on some days, they'll look surprisingly good. On some days, they'll look hilariously bad. Mm-hmm. They just went through a preposterous transfer saga with Marko Arnautovic, who extended his contract by 1 day after trying to leave for China. So and he might not even play on Monday because he right. injured himself. So it'll be interesting to see. They've got some players that can be dangerous. I mean, they've got Felipe Anderson is the main one. And I mean, Chicharito, who doesn't necessarily always start, he always just scores stupid goals. That's something we have to watch out for. And they'll surely be out for revenge because in the first game of the season, there was a set piece we ran where we hit Mark Noble and Jack Wilshere in the balls consecutively and then scored, I think, like 10 seconds later.
Oh, it was hilarious, and I loved it. It's one of my highlights of the season. Like, it honestly is. When I think back and, like, compile in my head the highlight reel on this year, there's going to be a lot of really good goals and everything, but there's also going to be that, like, in slow motion, like, repeatedly, maybe with, like, Celine Dion, from, like, Titanic playing in the background or whatever. Like, I'm just thinking of how I'm going to put it together. I'll get there.
Yeah, so I don't think they'll challenge us too much. I think their biggest obstruction will actually just being an obstruction, just being in the way of us trying to get to the goal. So not too tremendously worried. I haven't looked at the forecast, but I don't think it's going to be snowing, which was a huge adversary to us today. So I think we'll get back on track. It's still a good period of rest between this game and that game without being too long. No time for a trip to Dubai to get everybody sick. So I'm feeling good going into this one.
Unbelievable. I don't know. Rest Yeah, rest seems to be like our weakness right now. Like I almost feel like we need to have like 4 matches in 5 days or something to play at our best, apparently. Weird stuff. Zach, you already hinted at kind of a wish list, sort of, if you will, about what you would like to see in order for us to, muscle through this season. What you're hinting at, maybe winning some games like we did last season, all that. If you had a wish list going into this game, what would you want to see out of Liverpool going up against a bit of a confidence booster opponent, perhaps?
A Roberto Firmino hat trick.
Ooh. I like this specificity of it.
Specificity?
Specificity of it. Sports scienticity of it. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. That's my final answer. Is that it? Just a Roberto Firmino hat trick?
I mean, that should be enough, right?
Well, yeah, it is. I don't know. I just thought you could dream of anything. I wasn't sure if you wanted to add anything else to it. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's like a 5-star dream for me.
All right. Okay, that's good. Good with me then. I guess the podcast is done.
A resounding win.
It's got to be, right? It's got to be at this point just a flat out win, not a 1-0 we gutted out against Brighton, not oh god it's Palace again, why do we have to put ourselves through this every season. It's got to be a decisive victory for Liverpool. We have to get back on the right foot as far as that goes, because it's I don't know, it's just a little bit nerve-wracking. It's not where we are right now is obviously not a bad place, 5 points up, so on and so forth. Not at all bad, but I don't know. There's something that I guess we just need a little bit of reassurance, because there seem to be just a little bit of small things that are piling up in terms of like what might be going on. Yeah, little bitty injuries, like little like or like officiating errors. Like there seem to be little things, and it would just be really nice, I think, to have the one match where I don't know, everything just kind of goes right. We play the way we should. It's just a flat out victory, and there's no stress about it. That's exactly what we need as a team right now to counteract kind of the current awkward flow as far as the season has been in January. But I don't know why I just went off on that rant, but I did. Let's get some scoreline predictions then. Let's go ahead and throw that out there, right? Alex, you want to start us off as far as that goes?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like we'll get back to winning ways, and we'll be able to bamboozle them. I'm thinking a 3-1 victory.
Good old bamboozling right there.
Yeah.
All those shenanigans that we're up to, the goings-ons. Zach, how about you?
3-0.
Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot. I'm going to go 2-0. That's going to be my prediction. I think that we get halfway back to our regular old selves, but not quite fully there. And it's a good victory, but it's not quite a big time, like easy victory. And we get there eventually. Next match after that. We'll be good. This is the tune-up. To close things out, though, we are reaching the very, very end of what has been another classic Liverpool January transfer window. Just one for the ages over here. Now we're reaching the end of another January transfer window. And I don't know, barring any massive surprises, the window will kind of end with, I mean, not a huge amount to talk about outside of, a few players being sold to the same team. So do you think there will be, or move to the same team? Do you think there will be surprises here, Alex? I mean, I don't know. What do we even do with this? Why do we have January anymore?
I don't know. Actually, we have January to get Virgil van Dijk, so they can just end it.
That's true.
There. So I don't see us doing anything. Maybe sneaking in a pre-contract agreement for the summer. maybe in the next month or two, but can't see us doing anything.
Who's leaving up in the summer? Who's someone that we can like? Who's like the best player in the world that's available for free? Who can we?
I don't. You never know with some of these contract situations. I mean, it's a whole different can of worms. Adrian Rabiot is available, but there's some questions about his attitude, and his agent / mom can be a little crazy sometimes. You never know. Yeah, I personally really like Aaron Ramsey, but he's rumored to be going to Juventus. But until that's official, I'll still maintain hope. If we could do for him like we did for Ox, that'd be a good one to get for free. And we've been linked with some people that wouldn't necessarily be pre-contract that we'd spend money on, like Timo Werner, a bunch of young kids, Sandro Tonali, people like that. Love to see us go for that and maybe get the groundwork taken care of, but don't see us doing anything. We'll get a lot of Andrew's favorite phrases. All of our signings will be the people that are just like a new signing.
So good. So good.
Adam Lallana, he's like a new signing at this point.
He's like a new signing.
Zach, when you watch the highlights, you'll be particularly impressed with how useless he was today.
He played a significant amount more than I thought he would. More than I hoped he would. We shouldn't trash him that much, but my goodness, it's just.
I mean, he's a nice guy.
He is.
What it seems like, but boy, is he just not useful.
No, not at this point. Poor guy. I feel bad.
Great skin.
Great skin. Really incredible what he's been able to do with his skin.
Luscious.
That those sponsorships are working out well for Adam Lallana. That's for sure. Zach, I guess there's not much to grade it on, but if you had to give like a letter grade, being the teacher in the room here, if you have to give a letter grade to January as far as transfer window goes, what do you give it? Do you give an incomplete? Can you give it?
I'd call home to mom and say, do you know how many zeros are here in the grade book? Your kid's not doing anything. I can't even actually give them a grade yet. It's just nothing.
You call him and be like, are you still enrolled here? I just need to know. Like,
you realize your kid's supposed to graduate in May. Top of their class. What's happening?
This is a surprisingly good metaphor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gold star.
Gold, yeah. Yeah, we haven't done that in a while. Gold star for you, Zach.
Boom.
Gold star. Gold star also for being here 2 episodes in a row. You've been here more often than I have.
In 3 months to get another one.
For the 21-22 season, Zach makes his return.
Yep. I laughed too much. That's going to wrap up this episode. Alex, thank you for everything. Zach, we will see you again in our season preview episode for next year. I'm your friend Joseph Craven. Hope everyone at home is able to withstand the stress of dealing with all of the little things that have piled up right now with Liverpool and are always, as always, being reminded of the beautiful thing that is still first place. Still 5 points clear with plenty of opportunities coming up to get even more points than that. It's a good place to be, guys. It's a good place to be, even if there's days like today that are just a little bit hideous. Thank you for listening to this episode of You'll Never Talk Alone, and we will see you next time.